Hello everyone, let us start the discussion on Indian polity through multiple choice questions. And whenever I am going to make such discussions, you please keep a book and pen with you so that whatever the additional points I am going to give you, you could record in the books and revise it before prelims. Let us begin our discussion. Question number first. With reference to the amendment of the constitution as laid down in Article 368, which of the following statement is incorrect? So you have to mark the keywords so that you are going to think in a particular direction with reference to these keywords. Here the keywords are Article 368 and incorrect. So incorrect statement is matter a lot here. So out of given 4 options, 3 are correct statements and 1 is false statement. You have to find out this one. And Article 368 of the Constitution is talking about the amendment to the Constitution of India. Part 20th of the Constitution is talking about that. Now let us go through the options first. A bill for the amendment of the Constitution can be initiated in either house of the Parliament. When I say either house of the Parliament, it means either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So except money bill. Money bill is mandatory to introduce in the Lok Sabha, must be introduced in the Lok Sabha with prior recommendations of the President of India. Here, in this case, Constitution Amendment Bill can be either introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So this option is right. Now, coming to the B option, once the bill is presented to the President for assent, he or she must give his or her assent to the bill. Now remember, these are called extreme keywords. He must. Might be you are thinking in the mind, why there is a mandatory binding on the president. President is the highest power in India. So why something is binding to the president? If you are thinking in such a way, then you are wrong. Because Constitution Amendment Bill always binding to the President of India to give his assent to the bill. So this is also the right option. C. If the bill has provisions to amend the federal features of the Constitution, it must be ratified by half of the state legislatures by a simple majority. Yes, it's always. Do remember, whenever there is an interest of the state involved in the amendment, so Parliament need to get the ratification from the state. Half of the state will involve and give the ratification to the bill. So this is also the right one. Now coming to the D option, the bill can be introduced only by a minister with prior permission of the president. Now here it is wrong. Why? Because the bill can be introduced either by a minister or by a private member. Constitution Amendment Bill can be introduced either by a minister or a private member, no matter. And it does not require prior permission of the president. Alright, so here the correct answer is option D. Now the question number second. Consider the following statements. Instead of reading these statements, first go to this part and try to analyze what is the demand is made by this question. It will save your time. Which of the following provisions of the Constitution can be amended outside the scope of Article 368? I will come to this part. Now read out the above statements. First, salaries and allowances of the Member of Parliament. Second, alteration of areas, boundaries or names of existing states. Third, manner of election of the president. And the fourth is abolition or creation of legislative councils in a state. Hope you might be knowing there are 3 ways in the constitution by which constitution can be amended. These ways are: first, by simple majority; second, by special majority; and the third, by special majority with the consent of state. And whatever the provisions given in the special majority and whatever the provisions given here can be amended through Article 368. It means this comes under the scope of Article 368. But the question is to identify the provisions outside the scope of Article 368. Whatever given in simple majority, you just go to the chapter number 10th of the Indian Polity by Lakshmikant. You will find out 18 provisions have been given over there. And these all 18 comes under simple majority and outside the scope of Article 368. In other words, these two special majority provisions and provisions which are related to the amendment with the help of a special majority plus consent of half of the state legislatures comes under the scope of Article 368, and simple majority provisions comes outside the scope of Article 368. Alright, hope you understand. Now you will find out 18 provisions which are outside the scope of Article 368 can be amended by the simple majority. Now out of them 18, one is admissions or establishment of new states, formation of new states, and alteration of areas, boundaries, or names of existing states. Now if you see the second statement here, it is right. It is outside the scope of Article 368. Now the second is emoluments, allowances, privileges, and so on of the president, governors, speaker, judges, and any constitutional dignitaries also comes outside the jurisdiction of outside the scope of Article 368. It means this statement is also correct. And here we have also seen abolition or creation of state legislative council in states. This is also correct. Now when it comes to the third statement, manner of election of the president, you will find out it here. Election of the president and its manners, extent of the executive power of the union and the states, Supreme Court and High Courts, distribution of legislative powers, etc. can be amended by special majority of the parliament and also with the consent of the half of the state legislature by a simple majority. It means this particular thing comes under here. In other words, the manner of election of the president comes under the scope of Article 368. Okay, whenever you are going to visit chapter number 10 of the Indian polity, you will find out 18 provisions. Now I just give you the idea how to remember these things. Now you first classify these in 4 categories. One should be parliament, second should be schedules, and the third SION, and the fourth is miscellaneous. Now, when it comes to the parliament, you will find out number of provisions related to the parliament here, such as rules of procedures in parliament, salaries and allowances of the member of parliament, use of English language in parliament, election of parliament and state legislature, quorum in parliament, etc. Similarly, schedules, you will find out 5th schedule, 6th schedule and 2nd schedule. And what is this SION? It is admission, formation and abolition of states, alteration of new states, abolition or creation of legislative council, and whatever the things which are left comes under miscellaneous. Like this, you can make a table for this particular thing by simple majority of parliament, which of the things can be amended and which of the things which comes outside the scope of Article 368. So the correct answer here is B. I hope I have made it very clear and I have given you the idea how to remember all these provisions. Next question is question number 3. Which of the following was the objective of 104th Amendment Act 2019 of the Constitution? So it is either 104th Amendment Act or else 126th Constitutional Bill. Both are same. Now it becomes an act, so it is 104 Amendment Act. So what was the provisions? What was the objective of 104th Amendment Act? So the options are to extend the reservation for 10 years for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes to Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Option B, to provide 10% reservation for economically weaker sections of society. Option number C, to provide constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes. And the D is to ratify the land boundary agreement between India and Myanmar. So this particular thing was dominated in 2020 because we have been completed 70 years from the commencement of the Constitution. Now the Constitution says, Article 334 of the Constitution says, the reservation of seats for scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes and the representation of the Anglo-Indian community by nominating in the House of the People and the legislative assemblies of the states shall cease to have effect on the expiration of the 70 years from the date of the commencement of the Constitution. It means by 25th January 2020, 70 years have been completed from the date of the commencement of the Constitution. Now we have to make extra provisions in order to extend it, correct? Now finally we have came up with 104th Amendment Act 2019 and says we are going to increase the reservation of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes to the Lok Sabha and state assemblies, as well as for the Anglo-Indian communities nomination. We are going to extend it for the next 10 years. So the correct answer is A, to extend the reservation for 10 years. Alright, now the question number 4th. Consider the following cases. What is the correct chronological order of the above cases starting from the earliest time? Now let us read out the cases. First, Shankari Prasad case. Second, Golaknath case. Third, Keshav Nanda Bharati case. Fourth, Minerva Mills case. Here I will give you the idea how to make the notes on the cases. Just go to the Google and ask 10 landmark judgments, or just say landmark judgments. You will find out the list of landmark judgments. 10 landmark judgments it will give you, which are very important. You should by heart it. And hope you know Shankari Prasad case, which has happened to be our first case, first landmark judgment, where constitutional validity have been checked in order to curtail the right to property. So it happened in 1951. Now second, in the Golaknath case 1967, again the constitutional validity of 17th Amendment Act 1964 was challenged, and they have corroborated. Third, in the Keshav Nanda Bharati case 1973, very famous judgment. You should know ABCD everything about the Keshav Nanda Bharati case, where it laid down a new doctrine of the basic structure or basic feature of the constitution. So do not forget, do not miss the Keshav Nanda Bharati case. And the fourth is 42nd Amendment Act in 1976, which is popularly known as Minerva Mills case. Now the cases details are there, you can read it out. Now I'm just going to arrange in the chronological order. This appears to be first, second, third, fourth. Now Shankari Prasad case, Golaknath case, it has given as it is. So first, second, third, fourth, answer is D. Now the question number 5th. At present, which of the following element is not a part of the basic structure of the constitution? In case if you remember preambles, see, whenever I say basic structure, it should be pop up into your mind only one thing, preambles. And in case if you know the preamble, you will find out the word secular over there. You will find out the freedom and dignity words are there. And you will find out harmony between the fundamental rights and directive principles over there. It means all these three are there as a part of the basic structure of the constitution. So the correct option for this is none of the above, because the question have been asked for not a part of the constitution. All are the part of the constitution of India. So we are selecting it none of the above. And in case if the question was element is part of the constitution, instead of not, it asks us like element is a part of the basic structure of the constitution. You will find out instead of none of the above, you will find out this all of the above statement. Now that would be right. Now as of now, none of the above is the right option for this kind of questions. Now explanation part can be go like this. So supremacy of the constitution, sovereign, democratic and republican nature of the constitution of the Indian polity, secular character of the constitution, separation of powers between state legislature and the executive and the judiciary, welfare state, socio-economic justice, freedom and dignity of the individual, rule of law, harmony and balances of fundamental rights and directive principles, etc. have been given. So the answer is D. Now the question number 6. Consider the following features. Which of the above features of the parliamentary form of government? Now we have to find out about given things as a features of the parliamentary form of government. So what is the parliamentary form of government? Let us see the statement first. Collective responsibility, political homogeneity, majority party rule. Out of this, how many can be incorporated as a features of the parliamentary form of government? Now what is parliamentary form of government? People are going to elect their representatives. These representatives are belong to different political parties. Out of all these political parties, one party with majority comes to the power. So here majority party is going to rule. Alright, this is the correct statement. The political party which secures major seat or majority of the seats in the Lok Sabha forms the government. Now collective responsibility, this is the bedrock principles of the parliamentary form of government. The ministers are collectively responsible to the parliament in general, and in particular they are responsible to give the answer to the Lok Sabha. And political homogeneity. Usually members of the Council of Ministers belongs to same political parties and share the same ideology, political ideology. So political homogeneity is also one of the feature of the parliamentary form of government. Out of all these given options, B is correct. First, second and third. All are correct. Answer is B. Now the question number 7th. Which of the following are not the features of the presidential system of government? First, collective responsibility. Second, double membership. Third, fusion of powers. Fourth, political homogeneity. So, if you find out the previous question, you will find out the collective responsibility is there for the parliamentary form of government. So, it is not for the presidential form of government. So, this is wrong. Second, double membership. Double membership means a particular minister is acting as a legislature as well as the executive. So here it comes the double membership. Now this is also the parliamentary form of government feature. So this is also incorrect. Fusion of powers. Fusion of powers where you are going to fuse the powers of legislature executive. So this is also the form of the parliamentary government. And the last is political homogeneity. We also have seen this in the previous question. It is also the feature of the parliamentary form of government, not the presidential form of government. So you have to select the correct answer from the above given. Now the correct answer for this question is option number C, because they have asked us to find out the features which are not related to the presidential form of government. Which of the following are not the features of the presidential form of government? All are not the features of the presidential form of government, and the correct answer is first, second, third, fourth. And if you wanted to read it out the presidential form of government features and the parliamentary form of government features, you can follow this. Next question is question number 8. Though the parliamentary system of government in India is largely based on the British parliamentary system, it never became a replica of the British system. It says that though the Indian parliamentary system has derived so many features from the British parliamentary system, but it cannot be exactly what the British parliamentary system is. In this context, which of the following statement is incorrect? British parliamentary system. The British system is based on the doctrine of sovereignty of parliament, whereas Indian system is not the sovereignty of the parliament. Unlike the British system, which enjoys unrestricted power regarding legislative matters, the Indian parliamentary system have legal restrictions on its authority and jurisdiction. And in fact, the British Parliament is the supreme authority as far as laws and their amendments, their enactments, their validity, and whatever the concern related to it. But in case of Indian Parliament, the laws made by it are subject to scrutiny outside it, and their validity can be challenged in the courts. So that's the reason why India parliamentary system is not the sovereignty parliamentary system. British system is the sovereignty. Now the option number B, in Britain, the Prime Minister can be a member of the House of the Commons or House of the Lords. No, it is not like this. In Britain, the Prime Minister should be a member of lower house, that is House of Commons, not the House of Lords. So this is the incorrect statement. So they have asked us to find out the incorrect statement and we have found, but okay, they will find out something more. A British minister is subject to the system of legal responsibility. Yeah, it is correct. British minister is subject to the system of legal responsibility. So only B option is incorrect and we have to find out. So answer is B. Question number 9th. Consider the following groups. Which of the above are part of the electoral college of the President of India? Now, what are these options? Nominated members of the Kerala Legislative Assembly, elected members of Rajya Sabha, elected members of Delhi, elected members of Telangana Legislative Council. Now, just in order to confuse you, he has given the names of the states and added nominated or elected. So we should understand how this President of India is going to be elected. First of all, President of India is not directly elected by the people. So there is an electoral college for it. And this electoral college consists of A. Elected members of both the houses of parliament. B. The elected members of the Legislative Assembly. I am saying elected members, not the nominated members. And C. Elected members of the Legislative Assemblies of Union Territories like Delhi and Puducherry. So elected members of Delhi and Puducherry assemblies, not the council. So option fourth is wrong because it has given Telangana Legislative Council. If it is given like elected members of Telangana Legislative Assembly, it would be the right option. Now the first statement, nominated members of the Kerala Legislative Assembly. Okay, it has given Kerala Legislative Assembly. Okay, it's good. It is a right point. But here he has added nominated members. No, it is not the nominated members. It always the elected members. So this is also wrong. And what are the things which are left? If we eliminate first and fourth, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is also wrong because one is there as a common. Now the right option is second and third. Let us read it out. Elected members of the Rajya Sabha, elected members of the Delhi Legislative Assembly. I said elected members of both houses of the parliament. Second, elected members of Legislative Assembly and elected members of Delhi and Puducherry Legislative Assembly. So the answer is C, second and third only. Now the question number 10th. With reference to the impeachment of the President of India, which of the following statement is correct? A. The impeachment charges can be initiated only by the Lok Sabha. No. Impeachment charges can also be initiated by the Rajya Sabha. So the impeachment charges can be initiated by either house of the parliament. Second, so this is the wrong one. These charges against the president shall be signed by 1/10 of the total members of the house which frame the charges. Again, it is the incorrect statement because we know that 1/4 members have to sign the resolution for the impeachment of the president, and then this house where the resolution is initiated have to take the sign by 2/3 majority of the house and send it to the next house, and the next house is going to investigate the charges on President of India, and meanwhile President has the every right to represent it at such investigation, appears in such investigation in the house. And C, so this is also incorrect. See, in the history of independent India, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma is the only president to be impeached. This is wrong. First of all, know that no Indian president has so far been impeached. The president can be removed from office by a process of impeachment for violation of the constitution. So far, no president has violated the constitution. And the third D is the impeachment is a quasi-judicial procedure in the parliament. Whatever the procedure I was talking about here and here is nothing but the quasi-judicial procedure in the parliament. So D is the correct one. Answer is D.